Now, for the most popular phones in the world, we actually use it long term. So the iPhone 16 was also one of them. So Tanishq has been using this for the past 3 months ever since the launch, and this is the first iPhone that he's actually used properly. Now, what he told me is that the iPhone 16 feels like an iPhone 15 in disguise. But I'd say, well, that won't be true. I think it's more like an iPhone 15 with slight upgrades. So what do we mean by that? How has the iPhone 16 fared in the last 90 days? We'll tell you all about that in this long-term review. So if you're planning on buying the iPhone 16, this is the video that you need to watch. If you're here for the first time, I'm Ershad. You're watching Trakin English, your destination for detailed, incisive gadget reviews. Now, I want to start by saying that the ultramarine color of the iPhone 16 is the hero color this year, but I think that the pink one looks better. It's vibrant, it's fresh, it's poppy, but that's just my opinion. What's your opinion? Let me know in the comments. Now, in our 90 days of testing this phone, we haven't used a case once on the iPhone 16, mainly because we were confident that Apple has built it sturdily and that it wouldn't break in regular usage for sure. Now, this phone has been dropped multiple times. We have a couple of dings to show for it on the action button and one right here below. Basically, the aluminum frame is slightly malleable and that sort of dings first. Now, what you get is ceramic shield 2.0 protection on the rear and the front. Now, at the rear, of course, you've got the frosted finish, so it kind of looks good, and you can't really see scratches if there are any. But the front panel scratches up way too easily. Ceramic shield is terrible for scratch protection, but good for draw protection. Of course, you've got IP68 rating, which is nice, but there are multiple Android phones right now which offer IP69 rating, so which is even better. Now, the iPhone 16 also gets the action button for the very first time, and just like the Pro model, you also get the camera control button. Now, the camera control is definitely a button, even if Apple doesn't want you to believe so. And well, there's a lot to talk about the camera control button, and I will do that a little later when I talk about the camera performance itself. Another major problem with the iPhone 16 is the fact that the Type-C port at the bottom is Type-C 2.0. You do not get a faster Type-C 3.0 port. Apple, you've given us Type-C. Make it fast Type-C. What is the point of saving costs here? Next, I'm going to be talking about the display on the iPhone 16, which has been fantastic. But before that, if you haven't already, do hit that subscribe button and give us your support. I think that you will like the videos, the tech videos that we have on the channel. Now, the display on the iPhone 16 hasn't been upgraded at all from the iPhone 15. So what you get is a 6.1-inch OLED panel, which is a 60 Hz OLED panel. Trust me, for the iPhone 16's asking price, it should have come with a 120 Hz panel. It's currently unpardonable. And you know, iPhone fanboys will be like, oh, you can't tell the difference between 60 Hz and 120 Hz because the animations are so good. Well, they're not. Because now all of the Android phones are doing animations much better, and especially with 120 Hz and LTPO and the kind of animations that are there on, you know, Oxygen OS 15, Color OS 15, even FunTouch OS 15, even One UI 7, all of it is way better than what iOS is doing. Now, it's established that we do feel bad about the fact that the phone has 60 Hz only. Is it a deal breaker? Definitely, 100%. And if you're somebody who's planning on buying the iPhone 16, just know that this is going to be something that you will have to live with for at least 3-4 years. And by the time, say for example, when the iPhone 17 comes out, and if it comes with 120 Hz, you're going to be ruining it. Trust me. Now, while we might feel bad about it, people seem to be okay with it, which they shouldn't be. They should ask for better. That's when we'll get better. Right? Now, apart from my rant around that 60 Hz panel, the panel itself is very well tuned. Of course, Apple makes some of the best displays in the industry. So what you will get is a supremely color accurate panel, which you can trust for editing photos and videos. And it's very, very good. Apart from that, you also do get HDR support both on YouTube and Netflix, and the display can get really bright. We didn't face any brightness issues when we took it outdoors either. It's pretty good. Now, with respect to speakers, for a tiny phone, this one does have really good stereo speakers. So that's something that we don't have any problem with. But remember this, for a complete audiophile experience, you will have to still buy an Android phone, not an iPhone, primarily because iPhones still do not support Bluetooth high-res codecs like LHDC or LDAC or aptX adaptive. So that's definitely a letdown. Now, with respect to haptic feedback, it's been tuned well, but Android is not just catching up, it's also going far ahead in terms of how it's being implemented in the software itself. Now, OnePlus, Oppo and Realme's phones have OHaptics, so fantastic haptic feedback you get on it. And even the recently reviewed iQOO 13, which we reviewed, has fantastic haptic feedback. In fact, it's better than the iPhone 16, not the iQOO 16. So yeah, obviously the advantages that iPhone used to have at one point of time is slowly being usurped by Android. Now, with respect to performance, of course, we've got the A18 chip inside, and for the very first time, we've also got 8 gigs of RAM to support Apple Intelligence, which I will talk about in a bit. But before that, let's talk about the power efficiency of the A18 chip, which is fantastic because this time around, Apple has improved the power efficiency by leaps and bounds. So what we're getting on this tiny battery inside this phone is a very commendable 6 hours of screen on time on extremely heavy usage. Okay, we are battering it. But you can also get 7 to 8 hours of screen on time easily if you use it normally. That shouldn't be a problem. Having said that, the 18.2 update did cause a problem with battery life, and to know more about it, I'll talk about it when I talk about the software section. And this great battery life is achieved on a phone that's just 7.8 millimeters thick and weighs about 170 grams. So Apple's engineering prowess is obviously fantastic. But having said that, charging speeds are still abysmally slow, and in our testing it reached about 22 watts to 27 watts at best, and it takes 1.5 hours for a full charge from 0 to 100%, which is a long time, by the way. Now, talking about the A18, I'm firstly glad that Apple didn't use a last generation A17 Pro chipset or whatever A17 chip on the iPhone 16, unlike the iPhone 15, which used the A16 processor. And the A18 chip is actually a slightly binned down version of the A18 Pro, and it's still very powerful, by the way. So the AAA titles that are not supported on the iPhone 15, like for example Assassin's Creed Mirage or Death Stranding, all of that work on the iPhone 16 without any problem. And we've talked at length about the performance of the iPhone 16 in our previous videos. For example, in the iPhone 16 versus S24 video. If you haven't watched that, go check it out. Now, when you're comparing compact Android flagships to this phone, obviously the performance is better. But in this price range, you will have phones like the iQOO 13 and the OnePlus 13, which will come with Snapdragon 8 Elite, and that's going to perform better than the iPhone 16 for sure. Because the A18 this year is not the most powerful chip. It is the Snapdragon 8 Elite. That might be difficult for iPhone fans to hear, but that is the truth, unfortunately. Now let's talk about iOS 18. We've seen multiple updates and we've come up till iOS 18.2 now. And iOS 18 itself is one of the biggest, software updates in recent times, and it's doing a lot of things that Android has done for years. For example, you can move icons wherever in the grid on the home screen, which is nice. That apart, you also have a new very customizable control center. The lock screen's nice. There are a bunch of very useful features in iOS 18. But the problem with iOS right now is that Apple is lagging behind in AI features. Of course, Apple Intelligence exists, and there are some really nice Apple Intelligence features that are already here. For example, writing tools is something that I absolutely love. But Image Playground is too limiting, considering the fact that, these images are generated on device, which is good, but the images that are generated look like this, and they don't look very good. Genmoji is kind of useful, but you forget that it actually exists. And the fact that you can use ChatGPT is nice, but then if you want to use it extensively, you will also have to get the ChatGPT premium subscription. So yeah, the Apple Intelligence features don't feel very Apple-like, if you ask me honestly. Also, another thing we've noticed with the iPhone 16 and the 18.2 update is that the battery life, while it was fantastic, it has gone down with the 18.2 update. Any iPhone 16 users, if you guys are facing the same issue, let me know in the comment section below. Has the battery life been good or bad for you? After the updates, I mean. And if you feel that I'm raging on Apple Intelligence, well, just take a look at this 9 to 5 Mac article where Apple users themselves feel like Apple Intelligence is not that great. So while iOS 18 has good features, Apple Intelligence itself is not the reason why you should be buying the iPhone 16. Alright, now let's talk about the camera setup. It's a basic camera setup, but it's a solid one. So what you get is a dual camera setup on the rear, a 48MP primary camera and a 12MP ultra-wide camera, which has been upgraded for better low-light performance, is what Apple says. And then you get a 12MP selfie camera as well. The thing with the iPhone camera is that it is definitely very consistent. So you get excellent skin tones, which no other phone has managed to beat. So iPhone skin tones are the best. Even with the iPhone 16, you get the best skin tones. The 1x picture just captures a lot of detail because of the 24MP outputs that you get. So that's fantastic. But more importantly, with the 2x camera, you can crop in and you get near lossless performance. So 2x is very good. But zoom beyond 2x and the performance is not going to be great. In fact, photographic styles is a new feature with iPhone 16 that you get. So basically, you can create a look of your own from scratch. So if you're somebody who understands what kind of look you want for a particular scene, you will find this very handy. And it does this without being destructive because it retains all of the details in the JPEG, the 24MP JPEG, with all of the information that is there in the photographic style that you've created. And if you want, it can also capture neutral images, so that's good. The ultra-wide is also pretty good. It takes great shots, and since it has autofocus now, it can take great macro shots as well. Images in low light with the primary camera are absolutely fantastic. I really like it. They're pretty like flagship class, but with the ultra-wide, they do lose out on a little bit of details. But still, it's pretty decent, I would say. Portrait shots again look fantastic on the iPhone 16. Again, you can zoom up to 3x, by the way, so you can get to a focal length which shows the right size of the face to actually take the photo, which is nice. Now, video recording, you don't have to mention it. iPhone's video recording is absolutely fantastic. It's got great quality. 4K 60fps video recording is superb. But the problem with video recording now is that iPhone is losing out to Android in low-light video recording because low-light seems to be better on many Android phones. Now, there are a couple of issues that I definitely need to talk about. Lens flare is still a problem on iPhone's cameras. It hasn't been solved. And the other problem that I want to talk about is the new problem that Apple has added to the hardware itself, and that's camera control. Now, camera control, I must tell you, is the most un-Apple-like thing that Apple has done in a long time. In 90 days of using the phone, how many times have we used the camera control button? Not once. Yeah. You know what, when we reviewed iPhone 16 for the first time, we had a certain perspective of it. But 90 days later, our perspective is slightly more critical, and we feel like the iPhone 16 is not too much value for money right now. Now, when it goes down to under 55,000 rupees during the Flipkart Big Billion Day sale or Amazon Great Indian Festival sale next year, then of course, it'll make a lot of sense. The iPhone 16 is definitely lacking a lot of features compared to Android phones. In this price range, even the smaller Android phones, like say for example the S24 and the upcoming S25 or the Xiaomi 15, which will be upcoming, or even something like the Google Pixel 9, 10, also including something like the OnePlus 13, all of these phones will give you 120Hz refresh rate for the same price I'm talking about. And they also give you a proper telephoto camera. And all of these phones have great software experience now with long software support. How exactly are Apple users or Apple fans trying to justify the iPhone 16 now? I'm finding it very difficult, honestly. The iPhone 17 definitely needs more upgrades. That's what we felt after using the iPhone 16 long term. What do you guys feel? Let me know in the comment section below. And if you agree with my thoughts or not, I would love to know that as well. The one good thing, although I must mention, is the camera. The camera is good. Very good, actually. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, keep tracking and stay safe.